Beneath the sunlit waves of the Indo-Pacific region, among vibrant coral gardens, a flash of electric blue and a flick of a yellow tail reveal one of the ocean's most iconic residents, the Regal Tang. You may know this fish as the beloved yet forgetful Dory from Finding Nemo, but in the wild, Paracanthurus hepatus is a creature of stunning complexity, vital to the health of its reef ecosystem. From its unique defenses and crucial role in coral preservation to the challenges it faces from overfishing and habitat destruction, this documentary dives deep into the real story behind the blue tang. Beyond its animated fame lies a fascinating untold narrative, one of survival, science, and the delicate balance of marine life. Join us as we explore the hidden world of the blue tang, uncovering the mysteries of its biology, behavior, and the urgent conservation efforts that could determine its future. Welcome to the 4th episode of the All About documentary series starring the Regal Tang, aka Dory. The Regal Tang was first described in 1766 by Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist and zoologist. While the specific location is not well documented, we can infer that it has to be around their native Indo-Pacific region, including the Philippines, Indonesia, Japan, and the Great Barrier Reef. Collection of the Regal Tangs for the aquarium trade likely began in the 70s and 80s. With the trade growing overall, a species with this eye-popping color was highly sought after. Records from 1997 to 2002 indicate that at least 75,000 individuals were traded in sales, and by 2011, approximately 95,000 blue tangs were imported for aquarium hobbyists that year. Regal tangs are not only popular for tank hobbyists, but also fishermen looking for a big catch out at sea. Regal tangs are known to be used as bait fish in certain coastal areas. Regal tang's fame spread globally due to Pixar's Finding Nemo in 2003, with the sequel Finding Dory in 2016. In these films, the character Dory, friendly but forgetful blue tang, joins the clownfish on their journey to find Marlin's son. In turn, both fish became two of the most beloved animated fish in history. This led to a common phrase called the Dory effect and the Nemo effect. After Finding Nemo, there was a rise in demand for clownfish, which led to increased concerns about wild collection and overfishing. When Finding Dory released, there was a similar concern that would drive the demand for regal blue tangs. However, while online searches spiked, there was no findings of a major increase in imports. The major difference between the two effects are clownfish being captive bred so well, while the regal tangs were not captive bred until recent years in 2016 with its first success. To break down their scientific classification, it would begin with kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Actinoturgi, order Acanthuriformes, family Acanthuridae, genus Paracanthurus, species Paracanthurus hepatus. Regal tang is the only surgeonfish that is in the genus Paracanthurus. Over time, evolutionary pressures may have caused other species in the genus to go extinct, leaving the regal tang as the last surviving member. As we do more deep ocean exploring, we still have not found any that might relate to a family in Paracanthurus. The coloration is what draws so many people to the Regal Tang. Very bright royal blue body with a strong black design that runs down the top portion of their body with a distinct blue oval in the middle. Their back tail is a striking yellow, and their fins also have this highlight of yellow as well. There are not many fish on the reef that have this bold of blue color on them. Adults can reach approximately 12 inches, one of the largest documented just shy of 15 inches in the wild. A juvenile will grow to half their max size relatively quickly within a year or two. After that, growth slows and they may grow 1 to 2 inches each year. Their oval-shaped body can get large, but it's also compressed at the same time, allowing them to move swiftly through the coral reef, whether it's to find food or squeeze in a tight spot evading a predator. The males are generally larger than the females. The Regal Tang comes equipped with a dominant dorsal and anal fin that they're able to raise up and down, a pelvic fin, and a caudal fin that aims in quick swimming movements, and a retractable caudal spine on each side of the tail that they can swing like a sword at anything for defense. The teeth of a Regal Tang are very small, close set, and sharp. They can use these teeth to scrape at algae on the rocks. Their lifespan of a Regal Tang in the wild is about 30 years. With most large growing tangs in the tank, their lifespan is typically 15 to 20 years. The Regal Tangs can be found in a large area of the ocean we refer to as the Indo-Pacific region. This includes the Philippines, Indonesia, Japan, the Great Barrier Reef, East Africa, Sri Lanka. All places are just unbelievably beautiful. Reefs filled with corals, fish, and exciting life all around. You'll typically see regals swimming in pairs or in small groups of about a dozen individuals. They stick close to the reef or in channels with a good amount of current. These reefs give a regal a great food source of algae and plankton to thrive on. These are also very warm water areas, around 75 to 82 degrees. They've even been seen swimming near areas of seagrass beds and large mangroves growing. The reef also gives the tanks plenty of crevices and caves for safety and a place to sleep at night. A lot of the reefs they swim on are not that deep, swimming as shallow as about 6 feet. On the other hand, some rocky reefs that lie a bit deeper, you can catch the regal being upwards of 130 feet deep in the ocean. A more beautiful sight, though, you can catch is where the juvenile Regal Tangs swim. They will find large acropora corals, and with their slender bodies, they can swim right in between the sticks of the SPS coral and hide from predators, and then they'll pop out to explore and then dive right back in. You can really see the curiosity of a new fish coming into the world. The Regal Tang can and will spawn year-round with peak activity between April and September. As you might guess, these are some of the warmer parts of the year. Spawning typically happens in the evening and can be influenced by lunar cycles. The males will court females on the outer edge of the reef, performing a dance-like motion, together releasing eggs and fertilizing them simultaneously. About 40,000 eggs can be released at a time. Current is usually stronger in these areas, which helps minimize predators from catching all the fertilized eggs. The parents, however, do not stick around to care for their offspring. It's now a game of survival. These fertilized eggs will hatch in just 24 hours into the larvae. These newly hatched larvae will drift in the open ocean for several weeks, feeding on plankton and hoping not to be eaten as they grow. If they've survived long enough to make it to the juvenile stage, they're now settled into a coral reef, feeding on algae and plankton. It takes a Regal Tang about 9 to 12 months before they're considered mature, and at this point they continue the circle of life as we know it. Imagine gliding through a vibrant coral reef surrounded by flashes of blue and yellow, the unmistakable colors of the Regal Blue Tang. But despite their beauty, these fish live in a world where danger lurks around every corner. With their small size and striking appearance, they often attract the attention of some of the ocean's most skilled hunters. Among their most formidable threats are large reef fish like groupers, trevallies, and snappers, all expert ambush predators waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Then, as night falls, a new threat emerges from the shadows: moray eels, slithering through the crevices ready to snatch any unsuspecting or sleeping tang seeking shelter. Even the ever-patrolling reef sharks pose a danger, particularly to young and injured tangs. And let's not forget the lionfish, a slow but deadly predator armed with venomous spines, waiting for the right moment to lunge at a juvenile Regal Tang that just made its way to the reef. But the Regal Tang isn't defenseless. Nature has given them a few tricks to outmaneuver these threats. Their sharp caudal spines act as the last line of defense against attackers. With their rapid darting movements, they can help them escape in the nick of time. Schooling behavior also works in their favor. Sticking together makes it harder for a predator to single them out. A Regal Tang's body shape also helps them squeeze into tight spaces that a larger fish would not be able to go to. The hunted must always stay one step ahead of the hunter. Other studies have shown the Regal Tang can lay on its side and play dead, and can also change their colors to become darker and more transparent with the colors of the reef they're in, camouflaging themselves from any threat. There are also other factors like pollution, harmful fishing practices, overfishing, coral harvesting, and snorkeling that can act as a predator towards the Regal Tangs. From the moment they hatch, Regal Tangs start a life as tiny plankton-eating larvae. As juveniles, they continue to feast on zooplankton, tiny drifting organisms that are going to fuel their rapid growth. But as they mature, their diet shifts and they take on a new role in the ecosystem. Adult Regal Tangs become herbivores, feeding primarily on algae that grows on coral surfaces, live rock, and basically anywhere that it's growing on the reef. Their constant grazing prevents algae from smothering the coral, keeping the reef alive and thriving. Think of them as underwater landscapers, working tirelessly to maintain balance. However, they're not strict vegetarians. When algae is scarce, they'll snack on small inverts and plankton, adapting to whatever food is available. Their flexible diet ensures their survival in the ever-changing reef environment. The Regals come equipped with those tiny, sharp, close-set teeth, and you'll see them doing a pecking motion over and over and over again on the rocks. What they're essentially doing is scraping that algae off with their teeth and eating it up. Surgeonfish in general are more prone to catching diseases and parasites because they do not produce much of a protective slime coat as other species will do. Other issues that cause them to be more susceptible to these issues are stress from predators, habitat changes, and simply old age. Common threats include marine ick and velvet disease. Both of these are parasitic infections that can cause white spots or a dusty coating, leading to respiratory distress and lethargy. They're also vulnerable to bacterial and fungal infections, often resulting in fin rot, open sores, as well as a common phrase, lateral line disease, which is going to erode the skin due to stress or poor nutrition. Now, a tang in the wild has no medicine to help cure these parasites or infections, but there are cleaning stations around the reef that a tang can stop at, and a trusty cleaner wrasse or cleaner shrimp will take care of them just like a doctor would, eating and scraping away any bad cases off the tang's gills, fins, and scales. The Regal Blue Tang is currently classified as least concern by the IUCN, which meant it is not in immediate danger of extinction, but that does not mean we shouldn't keep a close eye on them. While the species is widespread across the Indo-Pacific, it still faces serious threats that require attention in order to keep it at least concern. The Regal Tangs were exclusively wild caught until 2016. A quick dive into the success of rising tide conservation, RTC and the University of Florida Tropical Aquaculture Laboratory celebrated a major milestone with the successful captive breeding of blue tangs, a process 6 years in the making. The breakthrough came after Dr. Chad Callan's 2015 success in breeding yellow tangs in Hawaii, which inspired Kevin Barden from UF to replicate the methods in Florida. After facing challenges in keeping blue tang larvae alive beyond a few days, the team refined their approach, focusing on perfecting the food, water quality, and environmental conditions. On day 52, they successfully raised a blue tang with 26 siblings, making a historic achievement in ornamental fish aquaculture. The accomplishment is a result of the team's dedication, long hours, and collaboration. Today, you can find captive-bred blue tangs readily available from companies like the Biota Group. The yellow tangs are currently in a better position as they are not able to catch them in the wild, only captive-bred ones are available. Regals can still be caught in the wild, but with the success of captive breeding, we can see a shift in hobbyists choosing the more sustainable approach. Marine protected areas also have been a huge help in protecting the tangs from overfishing and habitat destruction, especially on the Great Barrier Reef and parts of Indonesia. Now for the part that so many people watch these videos for, aquarium care. So let's dive in and see if a Regal Tang is the right fit for your saltwater tank. The Regal Tang is a highly sought after fish. Their colors and their popularity of having a fish from Finding Nemo in your tank is a big hit. For captive bred species, they are typically sold for $120 as juveniles. For wild caught tangs, they are somewhat cheaper for around $80. When considering the tank size to house a Regal Tang, I'd recommend a 180 gallon tank by adulthood. This is a fish that is very active and needs a large space for swimming. A tank of this size is typically 6 feet long, so a tank that can reach the length of 8 to 12 inches in the tank setting, that gives them a lot of room to flourish. The tank setup would include a sand bed with a lot of live rock built like their very own obstacle course, with caves, crevices, overhangings, and spots to hide and graze on throughout the day. Power heads giving strong currents to replicate their natural environment. Now, juvenile tanks are small, some only being a couple inches when you purchase them, and as you'll see online, people will have Regal tanks in their 60-gallon Reef tanks, and they're flourishing. You just have to keep in mind, if you do decide to do the same thing, they will eventually grow out of it and would need more room. Just like in the wild, they will grow to about 4 inches in their first year of life, and then about an inch a year afterwards. I would say care level is moderate, mainly from their sensitivity to shipping, water quality, and diet. They are a tank, so they are prone to things like ick and erosion. It's best to quarantine them before adding them into your display tank. If you're buying from a local fish store, check with them. I know at the store I worked at, we kept copper in the tanks to help, as well as dipping them upon arrival. I would also recommend having a cleaner shrimp, cleaner wrasse, or some other species that can set up a cleaning station in the tank to also help. Great thing about buying captive bred is you get a fish that's going to be much hardier in the tank setting versus a wild caught one. If all else fails and they still end up getting sick, have some medicine on hand. Paragard was one of our favorites to use, especially since you can mix it into their food. There's a lot of options out there. Keep them on hand. The Regal Tang's temper is semi-aggressive. As I like to say, tangs in general become the kings and queens of the tank. They claim a lot of territory in the tank and can show aggression towards newcomers that get near it. You'll see this aggression come out at feeding times. For most tanks, this will simmer down and new fish will find their way in the tank, but keep a close eye, make sure they're not bullying the new fish to the point that you actually have to take them out. At times you might can feed more often and rearrange the rock structure to help combat that territorialness. Regal tangs are definitely reef safe. This is where they actually thrive, in a seasoned reef tank. This allows them to do the same job they do in the wild, cleaning algae off the rocks and corals. Regals also aren't ones to bother your cleanup crew, so no worries there. You can have your little tiny ornamental sexy shrimp, they won't bother them. If a coral is dying and growing hair algae on it, the tang will still nibble at that, so it could cause more stress to the coral. You might have to put one of those underwater boxes in there while it heals. Just be observant of that. They're not eating the coral, they're just trying to eat that algae. Like most saltwater fish, regal tangs prefer warm water between 75 to 82 degrees, DKH 8 to 12, pH 8.1 to 8.4, and your salinity 1.020 to 1.025. Water parameters are really important to keep up with when you have a regal tang. A spike in ammonia or nitrates could cause stress and even result in bigger issues like ick. Stay on top of your water changes, test those levels throughout the year, acclimate them slow, and don't forget that back spine when you're handling them. They are not afraid to use it on you too. If you're not careful, it can definitely stab you. The regal tang can reach the same length they do in the wild, of about 12 inches in the tank setting. The regal tang is an omnivore in the tank. I usually recommend feeding plenty of dry seaweed daily in the tank. Sometimes it's even better to have some natural hair algae growing in the tank for them to chew on as they get used to the new tank. Other forms of macroalgae can also be introduced as something for them to chew on. Having that algae in their system is going to bring out their colors, and it's going to bring up their overall health throughout their life. They're also going to go after your meaty food you feed to your other fish, like mysis and brine shrimp, flakes, pellets. You'll see them eat it all. Regal blue tangs are best kept with other peaceful to semi-aggressive fish. They're going to be compatible with clownfish, wrasse, gobies, firefish, just other reef-safe fish. You can bet they'll do fine together. However, they can be territorial and aggressive towards other similarly shaped tangs. So a regal has that oval-shaped body, kind of similar to an orange shoulder. I recommend, if you want multiple tangs in the tank, or if you even want multiple regals in a tank, you got to add them at the same time, because that puts them in there at the same point when they're claiming territory and will reduce that aggression a lot. Saves you a big headache. Avoid keeping them with large aggressive species like triggers, groupers, or puffers, because those fish can chase after their fins, cause way too much stress to them, and then they end up catching, a bad disease or end up perishing because they're too stressed out. The Regal blue tang is more than just an animated icon. It is a fascinating marine species with a complex role in its ecosystem. From its vibrant blue and yellow coloration to its sharp caudal spines for defense, this fish has evolved to thrive in the warm coral reefs of the Indo-Pacific region. It plays a critical role in maintaining reef health by grazing on algae, but it also faces natural predators and human-induced threats such as habitat destruction and overfishing. The impact of the aquarium trade on this species has led to both concerns and breakthroughs, with the successful captive breeding of Regal Tangs marking a step towards sustainability. While the wild-caught specimens still exist in the trade, aquarists now have the option to choose sustainably sourced, tank-raised tangs. These fish require careful attention, large tanks, and a proper diet to thrive in captivity. As we continue to admire the beauty and ecological importance of the Regal Tang, it's crucial to support conservation efforts, sustainable aquarium practices, and marine protected areas to ensure their survival for generations to come. Whether in the wild or in home aquariums, these remarkable fish deserve our respect and care.